Let me go ahead and start the recording. There it is. Thank you. So now at this time, we ask that you please mute your mics for the best sound experience. Otherwise, the feedback could interfere with the information we'll be sharing with you today. So without further ado, here is Miss Donna Munoz. Go ahead and get your PowerPoint loaded for you. Okay. Miss Munoz, I don't hear you. Can other people hear her?
Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. So I did have a quick question. Do we have any kids in today's event? Or is everyone a EPCC student? No? Okay. Alrighty. Hi, everybody. Well, thank you for being here. So I think what we'll do today is we'll talk a little bit about Harley Farley and his story. I will read one of the books to you, and I hope you enjoy it. But I think that for the audience that we have today, I would really love to share my experience as someone who has studied and majored in English and using that degree to the fullest extent, and it's just something I love and it's my passion, and it really is amazing when you can study what you love in college and then use it as in your career. And EPCC has a really wonderful English program. Our higher courses can also be used as electives, and I'm just really proud to be an English instructor with EPCC and just also loving the author life as well. Both are very challenging, both keep me very alert and excited every day to see what the day will bring. So why don't we start off by just talking a little bit about the writing career that I am now a part of, this journey that I'm doing. I am published traditionally through a publisher in New York for books that I write for adults. And under the Harley Farley brand, I am self-published as an indie author, and this was a really important project, and I'll tell you a little bit how that got started. So if I can just quickly share my screen, Ms. Patricia, I'm going to take over for a quick second and jump to the web page. Can you see the web page?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Harley Farley is a little zombie. He just kind of started out as an idea over dinner time at home. And these are my boys. I have a set of twins and my oldest son, who's now in high school, and the twins are now in middle school. But honestly, our story just started off as just we loved zombies, we loved Minecraft and all of those things. And so we started talking about a little zombie that we sort of created for ourselves. And then we started drawing him, and this is one of my son's drawings. And then it just kind of turned into these adventures of, if a zombie came over, what would we do with him? And of course, the first answer was we'd like hit him or stop him from coming inside, because we all know that zombies have a really bad reputation for eating brains and loving flesh. But in this case, we brought it back around to him being a nice, friendly zombie, and then the boys got excited talking about how they would play Legos and Xbox and Star Wars. And so then it kind of evolved into, let's put him in an actual story, like an adventure. And then that's where we came up with Harley Farley's First Halloween, which my boys helped me write, and it is a rhyming book. And the theme is always the same. So Harley Farley is a zombie, and he just wants to do things that other kids want to do, like go to school, go trick-or-treating, and in this case, the book on your right, he wants to go to a pajama party. And so, of course, in every single book, they find out he's a zombie, and they panic, and everybody yells and runs and hides their brains. But then they learn to accept him, right? Because he's kind and he's friendly. And it's a really great lesson that we've used to teach kids about inclusion and acceptance and friendship. And so this project sort of took off into 2 books. And then once it became a book, then we were able to start using it to promote literacy. So I've been able to do school visits just talking about, why reading is so important and how it just adds such value to our life. Read well. Once you can read well, then you can write well. And in fact, as a writer, that's one of the things that you can never let go of. You have to read books so that you can keep yourself educated in your craft. One year I was even able to take Farley to the children's hospital, and we had a little Farley Halloween party there. And then this is the video. I'm here at Parkland Pre-K. This was me at Barnes and Noble reading my book there. And so it's just really evolved into this passion of just spreading our love for reading and Farley and his stories. So I really, really enjoyed that. So when I go into the schools, let me stop sharing real quick. When I go into the schools to talk with kids, Miss Patricia, could you please put my presentation back up there? Thank you. So when I go to the schools, I always make sure to have some kind of presentation ready. It's not always just going and saying hi and reading stories to them. I also like to really spread our message to kids and make sure they get involved and have a great time. And so this is the presentation that I give at the school. So I always thank, I always thank whoever invited me. So there's always that first thank you slide, and it's usually librarians or the teachers. So I always make sure to recognize them and let the kids cheer for them. And then I talk to them about how Farley came to be. So you can see here, those are my boys on the floor drawing, and they're always, well, when they were little, they were always brainstorming the next idea for him. So we even got to have a little segment in El Paso Ink Kids where quarterly we had Farley stories in there. So we were always creating. And then this was us getting ready to head out to an event. And oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It's so important to give thanks where it's due, right? And then here's a picture of my son Andrew holding his drawings. And we now created Carly. So here's Harley, and then there's Carly with the bow. So we'll see what stories we can create with Carly. And part of what I like to share about reading it with the kids is that, reading is so important. Again, it's a skill that goes with you all the way, to forever. And it's especially one that comes into play when you enter higher education and you have your textbooks to read. And just being able to read, your critical thinking skills and being able to read and comprehend and then translate that into your performance and your work is hugely important. And really, it all starts with that love of reading. And I've just been really grateful that my kids are readers and they love to read. I'm hoping that they got that from me. Sometimes I meet kids who don't love to read, and I always just tell them, well, maybe you haven't found the right book yet. And so we talk a little bit about books and even graphic novels, which are really important and still part of reading, because some people say, well, graphic novels aren't books. They really are. So this is a slide I like to show kids so they can see my kids reading and how much reading has meant to us. And that is a text that, Miss Patricia, I barely caught the message. We'll definitely go through the chat after, but absolutely, I do school visits all the time. And especially now that they're virtual, I've realized I'm able to do so many more because, I don't have to add in the driving time, so that's always nice. Okay, so I always talk to kids about how there are 3 special words I want them to remember, just 3, and it's not I love you, but it is reading is magic. And I always talk to them about how it's like reading belongs to them, and it's like a superpower. It's magic that cannot be taken away from them. It belongs to them. They can make it their own. They can read when they want to. They can read what they want. And reading is so magical that it sort of takes us to this escape and gets us away from wherever we are at the moment. And I know that in high school, maybe I was a little bit too old for the genre, but I read R.L. Stine books like without ceasing. Like I was always reading an R.L. Stine book. He was one of my favorite authors in high school. And I loved his gory horror type writing. And right around like 8th grade, 9th grade, I had lost my dad. So we went through the process of him passing away at home on hospice. And so I was very immersed in that and helping with his care, you know, sort of processing that those were my last days with him. You know, our dads are very special to us, and I was very, very young. And I just remember that really and truly the biggest break I got from that was when I was able to just go for the night and just read a little bit before bed, or read during, you know, lunchtime at school. And so reading really is just such a magical thing. If you truly take advantage of reading, you'll see the benefits of it and the power behind reading. So I always tell kids that reading is magic, and then we talk about why it's magic. And of course, this is an illustration of how powerful it is and how it sucks you into that story. There are some times when I'm, you know, I use reading to comfort myself, as I mentioned, but we were on a plane once, and I hate riding in planes. They terrify me. I always expect the worst thing to go wrong. But I'll take out a book, whether it's on my Kindle, my phone, or physically, and I just really just feel that sense of calm. And you know, I forget takeoff, I forget that we're in the air, and I really appreciate that. That's what reading means to me. So I choose this picture so that people can see the magic behind reading. And then I show them that the kids that you can read anywhere. And so, you know, you've got yourself outside on the stairs, cozy in your house with your favorite blanket. And so I think that's a really important message too, is that reading can go anywhere with you. A waiting room, um, you know, at home during your own special time, like just in your bed, getting ready to go to sleep for the night. So that's just how versatile and available reading is. And I always like to make sure kids know that they don't feel constricted, like, oh, I have to only read when I'm at school in the library, or I only can read when my teacher tells us it's reading time. I don't obviously don't promote them not paying attention in school, but I do like them to know that reading is always there for them. And then I show them some pictures of kids reading, yes, cereal boxes. Remember, that's all we had, right? Was reading the backs of cereal boxes or labels or advertisements. And you know, it's a skill. It's like riding a bike, right? I rode a bike for the first time, which sounds horrible, but probably in like 30 years. I just hopped on one of my boys' bikes and I was like, oh my gosh, I can still do this. I paid for it later, but I like to see reading as the same way. It's just a skill that never goes away, right? And I like to explain to my students when I'm teaching them annotating at EPCC, how to annotate, which is how to keep yourself active when reading, right? Because we could read a novel, like a romance novel or a mystery, and just eat that book up and just finish it, right, in like a day. But then we have to read like our English text on argumentative writing, or profile writing or vocabulary. And maybe we tend to not be as excited, and we sort of we have the ability to read without reading, like without apprehending what we're taking in, right? I'm talking to you and I can tell you everything. My brain is telling me all the words on my screen right now, even though I'm actively engaged in a conversation with you. So that's how powerful reading is, but also how powerful our brain is. So I like to talk to them about how you know, we annotate to keep active. But one of the slides I like to show is just all the kids who have read my books, and some of these kiddos are actually nephews and nieces of some of our college professors. Some of them are my friends' kids, El Paso librarians' children. So I like to have kids actually see, this is my nephew and my two kiddos here, and to share that slide. And then, of course, I end with my dog reading a book. And I always tell them that whenever you read, you're telling your brain, I love you, or you're telling yourself, I love you. And then I tell everybody, kiss your brain. So all the kids are kissing their brains. Because that's really, for me, what reading is. Like, it's loving yourself and taking some time to educate yourself, to learn more, to open your world up to what else is out there. And then I end with letting them know that we're going to, you know, do something magical, slip away from the library or wherever we're at, so that we can now read. We can now go to a pajama party with a zombie, and so then we'll read the book. And just a couple of things to point out. Danny, who is the illustrator for both of my books, He and I actually went to urban high school together, and so it was really awesome that we were able to connect in that way to read the Harley Farley book. So now I would like to read it to you, and you can pretend to be excited. You can go back to your childhood for a few minutes while we read through this story, and then I'll be glad to answer any questions or talk about, what it's like to be an English professor and also a writer, how to balance that, how to find time, the highs and lows of writing, rejection, anything you'd like to talk about after that. So let's go ahead and read our story. If a zombie says he's hungry, follow my advice. Run to the kitchen and make something he likes. Now, don't believe the story that zombies want our brains. That's ridiculous. That's insane. Zombies don't want brain matter. They want pancakes on a platter. They want pizza with extra cheese. They want spaghetti and lots of it, please. And that first page in all the books is always an effort to just sort of normalize a zombie, make him a little more human and lovable, right? Because I always have a group of kids at the schools who panic, like, I hate zombies. And then they see that first slide and they're like, oh, he's so cute. And so that's exactly what I'm going for, because really the goals of the book are to show kids inclusion and acceptance, and not judging a book by its cover, and even offering friendship to someone who's a little bit different. And we see that between these two characters. This character's name is Eddie and this one is Harley, and they always have that relationship where thank you, Carlos. They always have that relationship where Eddie is always making sure to care for Harley and to make sure other kids understand who Harley is. My best friend is a zombie. His name is Harley Farley. We share a room and help with chores. We go on hikes and ride skateboards. There's nothing like a zombie friend. We'll be best buds until the end. But one day, yeah, he is in family pictures, Miss Patricia. I was going to go back and mention that in the first book, in the Halloween book, he's looking for a family. And so then they bring him into their family. So now in book 2, he's actually doing chores. He has a room and he's in family photos, right? But one day I made him sad because sometimes best friends get mad. I planned a pajama party, but I left out my dear Harley. Kids just might not understand that there's a zombie in my fam. Popcorn popping, pop, pop, pop. Pizza baking, hot, hot, hot. Best friend zombie, not, not, not. And I love this page so much because everybody yells. Like all the kids yell and clap for all of those words with alliteration. I love it. And then here they see Harley waiting for pizza, and everybody feels sorry for him because he's there excited, but he's not going to be joining the party. They do bounce around. It's so cute. Hurting friends feels really icky. This was getting super tricky. But I told him, you're invited. Harley danced around delighted. Just as all my guests arrived, Harley put on a disguise, a baseball cap and dark sunglasses, mama's scarf. He looked fantastic. Our house was full of happy kids. Did everyone come? I made a list. And all my nephews and nieces are on here. Harley's disguise worked very well. He's a zombie, but no one could tell. Andrew and Daniel know our secret. They've been very kind to keep it. Hello, Harley, they both said. Harley loved to see his friends. And he made these friends in book 1. I'm so glad I changed my mind. Harley was having such a great time. Building forts was lots of fun. He ate ice cream by the tons. Alexa even combed his hair, and he got a manicure. Oops, my Alexa's going off. Uh-oh, skipped a page. Andrew said, now play with me. Harley followed happily. But then Maddie grabbed his arm, tugging, pulling, twisting hard. Play with me, that girl demanded. Harley then became one-handed. It's a zombie, someone cried. Protect your brains, run, hide. They were making Harley cry, though he wouldn't hurt a fly. So I shouted loud and clear so all my party guests would hear. Judging others isn't right. I know you're scared, but please be nice. He's super friendly. He likes parties. You won't hurt them, will you, Harley? All the others said, we're sorry. Let's be friends now, Harley Farley. Kayla helped fix Harley's arm. She stitched it on with my mom's yarn. A Pinky promised to always be friends. Now it's time to sleep, so we called it the end. And then at the always forever on every single Harley book on the last page, we have the Z's so that the kids can snore. And then afterwards, I do little activities with them. So I might take these handouts and kids can draw. Thank you. Kids can draw their own pajama party with a zombie. And then we have some questions like brainstorming, some games you would play at your party. And so we do that. And then I ask them questions about the story. For example, why didn't Eddie want Harley to go to his party? And these are great discussion questions because then they allow the kids to say things like, well, he didn't want a zombie there because he knew people would be scared of the zombie, or maybe he was embarrassed. And then we can talk about things and insert like little tiny lessons for them on compassion and acceptance and friendship, of course. And then, number two, exactly. Number two, why do you think Eddie changed his mind? And then, they talk about, well, because he didn't want to make his friend sad. And then we can jump into the next transition conversation, like, have you ever made your friend sad? Tell us about a time, and what did you do to fix it? So they get to talk about those things, and then other kids get to hear their stories. So I really like immersing them in the whole experience and conversation. And then, of course, number three, would you let Harley go to your party? And then everybody screams, yes, right? So it's really fun. I really enjoy it. And then, of course, every book comes with coloring pages at the end. Sometimes I'll print these and take them with me to hand out to the kids. So that's the whole Harley Farley experience. That's the whole story. Now that we're doing virtual events, sometimes I'll jump on Canva, and I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I can share it. Okay, so I'll jump into Canva, and I'll just have a blank palette, like a blank page, right? And then I'll talk to them about, okay, let's have a party. What decorations do we want? And then the kids will start naming the decorations. And then I'll just jump over here and look up the elements like balloons, right? And then I'll click on it and bring the balloons over. And then we bring the food, like what do we want to eat? And then we'll have pizza and, excuse me one quick second. Working at the same time as having fun, right? Okay, thank you so much for allowing that. So then we just have a fun time and we decorate our little party. We bring food over, we bring decorations, and then we can also bring text over, and then I'll tell them, okay, what is this first page going to be about? And then they'll do like one day we woke up and decided to have a slumber party. So then I'll grab the text, we'll put it over, and then we type that in. So they're also engaging in telling the story as well. And they're also learning like story sequencing. So we'll use like those transitional words. Like first we decided to create the decorations. We wanted lots of color. So then, we have all of our decorations, our balloons, banners, flags, a table with a tablecloth. And then the next page will be blank and we start a whole new story, not a whole new story, but a whole new part of the story. After that, we decided what food we would eat. So then everyone decided we would eat pizza. So then, of course, we bring over the pizza pictures and things like that. So I really like having this ability to do this on Canva. We've had to really all of us, students and instructors and authors, we've all had to learn how to just be better at what we're doing with the conditions that have been placed upon us due to COVID, right? So now that we're doing things virtually, how can we make that experience better and memorable for kids and for our students? So those kinds of lessons I take with me, and I apply them not just in my author life, but also as an instructor teaching English at EPCC. All right. So can I answer any questions? Let me jump into the chat. And if you have any questions about authoring or writing, I'm so glad to answer those for you. So Mrs. Patricia is asking how I became an author, and honestly, I really do think that reading was that stepping stone into writing, because I've just always paired the two together, and I've always loved the two. I remember there were days I would just totally fake sick, and I would be home, and I would just fly through small chapter books the whole day, just loving reading. And then it sort of turned into writing books, and I remember asking for a typewriter for Christmas, and I would write like these total dramas, right? Like just real life concepts, things way above my age that I should not even be worrying about, but I had genuine worries, and I would put that all on paper and type, staple them together, right? And just be like, here's my book. And I was so proud, like that was my manuscript. And so, yeah, it just started. And I love to share that with kids too, because I know we all start out with dreams, and I'm just really blessed and excited that this dream has always stayed with me. And the funny thing is that, I didn't publish a book until 2012. That was my very first book that I published with Soulmate Publishing. And, I was already in my late, no, I'm sorry, yeah, 2012, my late 20s maybe, or 30s. And it took all those years. So sometimes we don't realize our dreams so quickly, right? We don't get that instant gratification. Sometimes it's a journey and it takes work. And then I didn't even get an agent until 2017, in my 40s, right? So everybody's on a different path, and you just cannot give up on what you want to do and what you love to do. So, and like anything, you have to work hard at it. In school, you have to, put your best efforts forward to get those grades that will allow you to continue progressing to your degree. Once you're in your professional field, you have to put that effort forward to make sure you're doing satisfactory work and meaningful work. And that's the same thing with teaching and with writing. Being an English instructor, constantly learning, about different legislation and things we need to do and learn to make sure we're giving our students the best service, how to engage them more in classes, how to be a better instructor. In writing, it's constant editing, changing, revising, reading other authors to learn from them, getting rejected. So being rejected by agents before you find the one that accepts you. And then it turns into a whole other level of rejection when your agent's trying to be that mediator between you and the publishers, and they're still getting rejections for you, not for you, but with you rather. So it's just always something you have to push for. Like the fight never ends to be your best self. Thank you, Miss Evelyn. Bless you too. And Miss Patricia, if you have a story idea and write it, how do you get it published? Oh, and then very quickly, Carlos, both of those books are on Amazon, and you just have to Google Harley Farley's First or Donna Munoz, and they'll pop up right away. And I think Barnes & Noble carries the Halloween book, but I don't know if they have any physical copies, but they can also order it for you. So with story ideas, some stories don't get published. I have a couple of books that I call them shelved books because they're just sitting, you're welcome, they're just sitting in my documents on my computer, and even computers that no longer turn on. So stories are constant, but when you have an idea and you really want to follow through with it, then you begin the querying process. And so I had a novel that I used to query both publishers and agents, and that book was able to get an agent for me. And so now we work together, and my agent Mary and I, like she'll help me flesh out. I start with a really unique story of you switched gears and went this way. And so then the book evolves and changes, and then I'll do a timeline or a plot or an outline and send it to her, and she'll offer more suggestions or tell me, yes, go, go, go with it, go, go. So that's kind of how ideas work. You can write them out. It depends on what purpose they serve. Sometimes writing is just therapy for me. Sometimes it's something I really want to follow through with a publisher, or to send to my agent to consider going on sub, which means submitting the book to editors at publishing houses. So it just depends on what the goal is for the book. Writer's block. So I've been really fortunate not to have writer's block too much. A lot of the time, my biggest issue is time. So if I have writer's block, I mostly just think about it when I'm not as stressed. Like if I'm sitting here at the computer trying to plot something or think about something, it won't happen. But if I'm doing the dishes and I'm sort of spaced out, that's when all like the dialogue comes to me, plots, plot twists, characters, characteristics of the characters. So my writer's block, if I could call it that, I get over it by just simply doing everyday things, even driving, and allowing myself to just be relaxed and think about possibilities for my stories and my characters. Can I answer any other questions for you? Here's Harley Farley's, let me share my screen again, and I will show you I don't know if you can hear my son playing clarinet in the back. So here's Harley Farley's Twitter page, and I'll just share little like tidbits on here. I always post a lot about my dogs, or if someone's lost their dog, I'll post on that. This is let me jump here real quick. Okay, so this is the Donna Munoz Twitter page, and here's images of me at the schools, agent information, a little bit of the bio. I'm one of the grant chairs for Me Yes You Can. I'm also a middle grade author. I write romance novels under a pen name, which is Julia Bade, and the last name is the acronym for the first initials of all my kids' names. And so that's where I'm in New York, is through Soulmate Publishing for my romance novels. But my children's books, I write the Harley Farley Zombie series, and then I write middle grade. So like here's the one I just finished. And this is sort of the aesthetic for it. So this one is about Dia de los Muertos, and it's about a young girl who ends up has to find a new family, not find a new family, but allow herself to be loved again and to love again, because she lost the only person she cared for, which was her dad. And she happens to find a spirit who's here visiting, trying to find his family. And so they both kind of heal each other, or fill that gap that each of them has with their newfound friendship. So on Twitter, you can post all these fun things, kind of let the writing community know what you're working on, and also tweet about things important to you. Like here's a tweet I retweeted from Professor Fan Chen on on an adjunct fund. So you can use your Twitter feed for a lot of those kinds of things. Let me jump back over here, see if I missed out on any questions. I'm going to take you through the Harley Farley book, the Halloween book as well, if that's okay, if I have time. If a teacher wants to ask you to share in their classroom, what should they do? Email is best. I even have instructors or teachers messaging me on Twitter and just letting me know, hey, can you come by? And I really love that. It's a hobby, like more than anything, is to get to go visit schools. So I really enjoy that part of it. Let me take you to My internet seems to be running a little bit slow. Let me see if I can grab a screen share real quick. So this Farley's First Halloween is definitely like the heart book, because this was the very first one I wrote with the boys, and didn't expect it to be a book, and just kind of turned into this wonderful thing where we, got to do so much with it, so much good for the community, and I really love it. All right, so this one is Farley's First Halloween, and you'll notice the same kinds of themes. My room sits at the top of the stairs. Oops. Come pay me a visit if you dare. You'll find a surprise on the top bunk bed where sleeps Harley, a zombie undead. And I don't know if you can see the little details. We have a picture of a brain, and at the bottom it says gross. If you've ever met a zombie, you know this is true. They don't really like brains, just a donut or two. Harley loves trucks and dinos and skates. He loves chocolate ice cream, candy bars, and cakes. Nom, nom, nom. Sometimes we do a scavenger hunt on this page, and kids will run off and collect as many things from this list and then come back and show it, and whoever has all the things will win a book. But I don't think you currently have like chocolate ice cream at your disposal. I met Harley on Halloween night under a great big moon so clear and bright. He had wandered far from home, looking for a family to call his own. What do you do when you find a new friend? I have very good manners, so I invited him in. I showed him around. He loved the kitchen. That's where he ate all our fried chicken, and peanut butter and jelly and cereal and toast. If my parents got mad, I'd blame it on a ghost. Wick-a-weet, Harley grinned, and I wiped his chin. Suddenly I had the best idea ever. I'd take him trick-or-treating. It was quite clever. I showed Harley our trick-or-treat plan. It was a perfect mission that I made up in our kitchen. My mom found us. She's a nice lady, but seeing a zombie made her quite crazy. Dad came to her rescue. He's such a brave guy, but seeing a zombie made him cry. When your best friend is a zombie, there's something you should know. When he scares your mom and dad, it's really time to go. But then Mom stopped her crazy and Dad stopped his cries. They saw that Harley was a great little zombie guy. Mom spoke so loud and clear, "Little zombie, you have nothing to fear. We're sorry we were mean, but we were very scared. We've never met a zombie, but now we really care." And I don't know if you can sort of see those small lessons making an appearance. Our trick-or-treat mission was back on again. Harley and I ran to the closet and found a costume just for him. I cut 2 holes for eyes and a smile that was not sad. Harley really loved it, though it was just a paper bag. Out the door we went, Mom, Dad, and I, and Harley right beside us with 2 holes for his eyes. His paper bag smile was not at all sad, and though he's a zombie, he didn't smell that bad. My buddies Daniel and Andrew gave Harley high fives. "Nice costume, dude. You look kind of like you died." We visited lots of houses, Mrs. Henderson, Mr. John, Mrs. Baker, Mrs. Fields, Mr. Bennett, and Mr. Long. We saw big orange jack-o'-lanterns glowing in the night, skeletons, mummies, and witches with brooms ready for their flight. "Trick or treat," we yelled. Our bags were almost full. It was time to get home. The night was almost through. I had a question that I asked with apprehension. "What are we going to do with my new zombie friend?" "What do you mean?" asked Dad. "Go ahead and bring him in." And then all the kids yelled, "Wahoo!" I yelled and took my zombie's hand. "Come inside, Harley Farley. Welcome to the fam." And that's where you see in book 2, he's now doing chores, and in the family photos. Mom and Dad made Harley a very comfy bed. It was on the top bunk, but he liked mine instead. So he crawled right in and I scooted over. This was officially my most favorite October. And don't tell my mom or she'll be mad. Harley and I ate candy. Shh, we snuck it from our bags. We read lots of books and Harley let out a yawn. Happy Halloween, Harley Farley. Hope you had lots of fun. The end. And of course, there's the snoring page. And as always, a couple of short lessons at the end. So in this one, we do story sequencing, like in what order do we meet the characters? And then, you know, they can yell out the answers or raise their hands. And then we talk about that big word we saw, apprehension. And then we talk a little bit about a time we have felt apprehensive. So kids will bring up shots or the dentist or roller coasters, and we just sort of talk that out. And then, well, this one doesn't show the coloring pages, but it also has the coloring pages. And, you know, what is so important to me is that my kids helped me write these books. And so they're just so important to me. And, you know, sometimes I'll hop onto Goodreads just to see, you know, what people are saying. And for the most part, it gets really great reviews. But every now and then, like a professional poet who, you know, I respect so much, I love poetry, they'll say, you know, the rhythm was off. And if you would have just stuck to prose, but I wish I could just say, hey, but like this is what my kids wanted. And they helped write it. And, you know, even the fried chicken in kitchen, like, it really was just a family project that never meant to see the light of day or become a book, but now it is a book. But of course, you can't really go and respond and be like, oh, let me explain to you why sometimes the rhyming scheme is a little bit off. So that's kind of, I find it a little bit funny. But interested that it's getting, you know, reviews. It's cute. I enjoy it very much. Yes, Halloween in April. See, reading is magic. It just took you to October without even realizing it. Just gained you the rest of the semester. You didn't even have to take final exams. So yeah, I just, you know, I don't really have any more to present. Still happy to take your questions, but I just really want to thank you for having me today, and thank you to TVE for being my host and just letting me share a little bit about why I love what I'm doing. I love being an English professor. I love being a writer. I love how those two worlds have collided. I love the challenges of trying to, you know, get my work responsibilities done and find time to write. And writing has now become more of a reward for me. So, you know, if I have a stack of essays to grade, I know that my goal is the excitement of, okay, when I finish this class, I'm going to sit down and write for an hour. And that's for me. And, you know, people say, writing, and why do you want to be on the computer for longer? But I don't think unless, you know, it's your love, right, your passion, that you can fully explain, like, why it's just so, like, just so amazing, right, to be able to give yourself that gift. For some people, it's reading, it's writing, it's gaming. But yeah, when you have that passion, it's just a beautiful thing.
Thank you so much, Munoz. Everybody, why don't you go ahead and you can either turn on your mic and clap, or maybe even just post an emoji round of applause in the chat. But if y'all could turn on your mics, I'm going to have my mic on. Let's see, do we have more people? All right, y'all ready? Thank you, Miss Munoz.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It was absolutely fantastic. And we're really thankful for having you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. I hope everyone has a beautiful rest of your day.
You too. Well, before you guys leave, let me go ahead and I'm going to share the OLA guide with you guys. We are recommending that you please download it to your computer. And once you do, it has all the live links for the college for the different tutorial services and different departments. And so you go ahead, you click that link, you download it to your computer, and you have their hours listed there on most of them. And you click the link, and you're right there where you need to be. I'd also like to share with you our Tejano passports. Let me go ahead and copy that for you, and I'll put the flyer up. Okay, so our Tohono passports, I'm going to go ahead and post the link for today's session in the chat there for you. All right, so we'd like to invite you to participate in Tohono Passports. What you do is you join us here at Tohono Virtual Events each week, and we'll give you a code towards the end of the session that helps you towards your own free EPCC medallion. And so if you're already participating, the code's in the chat. You just kind of click. You'll sign in with the first part of your EPCC email and then your password, and you'll be able to claim those points for today. Now, if you haven't been participating, it's still not too late to join. We have multiple Tohono Passport events each week, and this code will still be good later. When you sign up, it's valid until midnight tonight. Now, if you need any more information or you want steps on how to sign in, you can go to the epcc.edu page, which is also posted in the chat for you. Also, if you have just a few minutes, if you could, we're trying to improve Tohono passports. Tohono passports. Sorry about that. Our Tohono virtual events as best as we can. And so we would like to hear from you. We would like to know what suggestions you have, or if you have an idea for a Tohono virtual event, or is there something that you want us to bring to you? Now's your chance to let us know. So if you click that link, you can fill out the Tohono passport survey. Lastly, I just want to say again, thank you so much, Ms. Munoz, for presenting today. Thank you to the audience for coming and being a wonderful audience. And we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you. Also, if you want to come later in the week on Friday, we're going to have degree pathways for special populations. Also on Friday, we're going to be going over inverse and determinants of matrices, as well as basic concepts of probability and permutation and combinations as far as our happy math hour this week. Thank you all for coming, and we hope to see you again soon.